Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the hidden and honestly pretty fascinating world of local plumbing infrastructure. We're going to explore exactly how the unique geography of Orange Park, Florida impacts the very foundations of your home. So if you've ever found yourself wondering why your pipes are acting up, why your brand new appliances fail early, or why your water sometimes smells just a little bit off, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's get into it.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll start by breaking down the Orange Park ecosystem, then look beneath the surface, go over the three-step solution, navigate the plumbing code, and finally, we'll wrap up by troubleshooting some common oddities.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the Orange Park ecosystem and the geographical villains beneath your feet.
When we actually look at all the environmental factors listed in the source material, things like wild temperature swings, high humidity, that sandy soil composition, and hard water loaded with minerals, it suddenly makes perfect sense why generic plumbing fixes just don't survive long-term here. Add in the heavy seasonal rains that totally overwhelm drainage, aggressive root systems from those beautiful local oak and pine trees, and a really high water table, it is literally a perfect storm for stressing out your home's infrastructure.
Think about the invisible pressure that's constantly working against your home's foundation. A high water table means the ground beneath you is basically a giant, fully saturated sponge. When you combine that much water with Clay County's naturally sandy soil, the ground is literally going to shift. Your home settles, and that natural settling aggressively bends, pulls, and stresses the rigid pipes running right through and under your concrete slab.
And then there's hard water. This perfectly explains why your water heater or your expensive fixtures might be failing way earlier than they should, even if they look pristine on the outside. Florida's hard water is packed with dissolved minerals, calcium and magnesium specifically. Over time, those minerals deposit a thick, crusty scale inside your pipes. It acts exactly like plaque building up in an artery, severely reducing your water flow and forcing all your appliances to work so much harder until they just burn out.
Moving on to Section 2. Beneath the surface. Let's look at how this geography actually attacks your infrastructure.
The big takeaway here is connecting that invisible cause directly to the very expensive effect. We want to understand exactly why these specific damages happen. For instance, acidic groundwater silently eats away at cast iron drain lines from the inside out, which ultimately requires a total PVC pipe replacement. And remember that sandy soil settling we just talked about? That's what causes those dreaded pinhole slab leaks in copper lines, which often means having to reroute your pipes entirely up through the attic. Hard water minerals lead directly to water heater sediment, and those invasive tree roots aggressively seek out water, completely blocking sewer lines until a pro has to come blast them out with high-pressure hydrojetting.
It's also interesting to compare established historical neighborhoods, like the ones around Kingsley Avenue and Doctors Lake, with the newer boom developments out by Blanding Boulevard. What we see is that while the building materials change, the environment remains a relentless challenger. Pre-1980s homes are battling severe internal rust because of aging cast iron and galvanized steel. The newer constructions, on the other hand, use flexible modern PEX and PVC. Sure, it flexes better with the soil, but guess what? They are still highly susceptible to that hard water mineral buildup and aggressive root infiltration. Basically, nobody gets a free pass.
So, what do we do about it? That brings us to Section 3, the three-step solution and Titan Plumbing Jacksonville's methodical approach.
This quote completely captures their ethos. Listen, when you're dealing with an environment this aggressive, you simply cannot just slap a Band-Aid on a leak and call it a day. You have to use advanced diagnostics. We're talking electronic listening equipment and thermal imaging instead of just randomly guessing and tearing up your beautiful yard to find the source of the problem. It really boils down to this highly efficient three-step philosophy designed to just eliminate homeowner frustration entirely. Step 1 is contact and dispatch. They offer 24/7 coordination and get technicians there within an hour for emergencies. Because let's face it, water damage does not wait. Step 2 is diagnosis and approval. They use actual video cameras to figure out exactly what's wrong, and then they give you clear, upfront pricing. Finally, Step 3 is testing and completion. They rigorously pressurize the lines, check the flow, and actually clean up the work area before getting your final sign-off. It's incredibly structured. All right, Section 4, navigating the plumbing code. Let's talk permitting and project timelines in Clay County. Now, you might be tempted to skip the bureaucratic paperwork, but skipping these legal steps can actually create massive liabilities for you down the line, especially if you ever go to sell the property. This is exactly why licensed master plumbers always handle the paperwork for you.
In Clay County, you absolutely have to have a permit for water heater replacements, whole house repiping, sewer line repairs, or any new fixture installations that modify the supply or drain lines. The only exception? Simple leak repairs and swapping out an existing fixture. Everything else needs the county's official green light.
It's also super important to set some crystal clear expectations about what a professional, code-compliant fix actually looks like schedule-wise. A simple repair, like clearing a drain, takes just a few hours. Swapping a water heater, 4 to 6 hours. But if you're looking at a sewer line repair, expect that to take 1 to 5 days depending on the method they use. And a whole house repiping? Yeah, that is a major 3 to 5 day project. Knowing this upfront really helps you plan your life around the disruption.
Okay, let's wrap things up with Section 5, Troubleshooting Common Oddities. It's time to bust some myths about Florida's unique water phenomena.
First question, why on earth does the water here sometimes smell like sulfur or rotten eggs? You might immediately panic thinking a sewer line just ruptured under your house, but the answer is actually a fascinating piece of local biology.
It turns out sulfate-reducing bacteria absolutely love Florida's warm underground aquifer. They produce hydrogen sulfide gas, which gives off that super distinct rotten egg odor. But did you know that simply flushing your water heater and replacing its anode rod can very often completely eliminate this harmless but incredibly smelly bacteria? It's a natural biological quirk with a surprisingly simple mechanical fix.
Next up, what's the deal with those stubborn orange stains in toilet bowls and sinks? If you are furiously scrubbing orange rings in your bathroom every single weekend, you're actually fighting a geological battle, not a hygiene one.
It's kind of wild to learn that this is just naturally occurring iron from the aquifer. When that iron hits the air in your toilet bowl, it simply oxidizes. It rusts. And here is a huge takeaway for you. Throwing generic water softeners at this problem is a complete waste of your money. A regular softener just won't cut it. You specifically need an iron filter installed right at your water's entry point to stop those stains for good.
All right, next oddity. Why does your water pressure suddenly drop during the summer months? This is a classic seasonal headache, especially if you live in one of the older Orange Park neighborhoods. You step into the shower on a hot July evening and it's just a trickle. So what's going on?
Basically, it's a turf war. Your home's infrastructure is directly competing with your neighbor's sprinklers during those peak morning and evening hours. Everyone is watering their lawns and topping off their swimming pools, all at the exact same time. And if you live in an older home, this massive municipal demand is compounded by the fact that your aging galvanized pipes are already narrowed by decades of hard water mineral buildup. You are literally fighting a war on two fronts.
And finally, how do you prevent frozen pipes during those super rare Florida cold snaps when the temperature actually dips below freezing? While it doesn't happen often, the high moisture and all that exposed plumbing make it a critical emergency to prepare for.
Because Florida homes just aren't built for freezes, your pipes are highly vulnerable. But these simple, actionable steps from the pros can absolutely save you from a catastrophic 2 a.m. pipe burst. Disconnect your outdoor hoses right away. Insulate any exposed pipes in unheated areas like your garage. Open the cabinet doors under your sinks to let the warm air from the house circulate. And lastly, let your faucets drip slightly. Moving water is just much harder to freeze.
I really hope this explainer has completely transformed how you view the invisible infrastructure of your home. Between the sandy soil, the high water table, the aggressive tree roots, and the mineral-heavy water, your pipes are literally fighting a quiet battle every single day. It really makes you wonder, what is actually going on beneath your own slab right now? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep asking great questions.